Oh, whatever the fuck was lagging me before, not lagging me now. Yet. Good. So, I successfully killed him off camera. I have the 4th point. I'm properly full spell capped, actually, now. Not just full spell capped as I'm at max life value or at 90% life value with Leech. I am legitimately fully capped. So now I just level. And then those next 4 points get used to get me all the way over. Who will eventually be replaced with Innovate. And then I can start hard farming, find my shit. And then we can pick up another Frenzy Charge. And then after that, I guess another Power Charge. Depends if I want to be 100%. I want to do it.
Hi, Caesar here with another video, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about scaling builds. And I was just going to pick a few examples of builds and how they scale, and talk a little bit about how you can work out how they scale and things like that. And I figured if people like this series, I would take like the 3 most liked comments with what builds to talk about scaling for next, and we'll just like go over a lot of different builds, how they scale, and some tips and tricks for how you can scale the build that you're playing. Even something like Explosive Arrow might scale quite similarly to something like Ignite Fireball, so just by watching it, you might pick up a lot of ideas on how to improve. So first, we'll start with a trusted favorite, Explosive Arrow. So this is scaling Ignite. The amount of fuses is very important for Explosive Arrow, right? So that's like things we have to keep in mind. So we are damage over time, multiplier, we're not crit, so we can't benefit from any crit, and we're always told that attack speed is very important for the build. But how important is attack speed? Like, what's going to happen if I do 100% increased attack speed? Well, that didn't really make my damage go up at all, right? You can see that my damage goes from 4.5 million to 4.6 million. This is about 100%. So how important is attack speed really, and why is it important for Explosive Arrow? So this is a really tricky one for new players, because you see the fuses here, right? And you can have maximum sustainable fuses, but it's not always calculated correctly. So what most people will go is they'll slap status to 20 or 22. That's pretty much everything, right? And now they'll start playing around with different bows. So let's look at different bows real quick. So now I made a rather egregious example. So here we have the bow you're supposed to be using, right? It's very nice. You might not know why it's nice, but this is a very good bow. It's got 19 attack speed plus 3, 50 wed, and minion attack speed. All of this can be very confusing to a new player. And here we have another bow. And this might look really good for new players. Experienced players are probably cringing right now, but let's explain why. And take a look here at the total DPS over time. It goes from 4.5 to 6 million, right? That looks like an upgrade, right? And if you're like, maybe you're new and you're like, I really want to learn, I'm trying to figure things out in PoB. So now there's a lot of things that have gone wrong. This is a very slow attack speed. So you're actually no longer at 22 fuses. And if you do have the max sustainable fuses on, it does calculate that it is definitely a damage upgrade. But it's even more than PoB is telling us. So let's just assume that this is the accurate with maximum sustained fuses. It's even less damage than that, because we don't have this anymore. We have this. So we went from all that damage down to 2.5 million. That's like a very, very easy thing to fuck up. So, you know, that's why in the guides we try to be very, very careful with like attack speed is so important. And that's because each arrow that's in the target is a huge multiplier for the damage, and EI is all about 20 fuses, and now in this match 22 or even 25 with an Ash's fuses. And for hitting 25, which is a huge damage increase, you do need like a lot of attack speed. For builds like that, then we're talking about things like attack speed on gloves, like 16% attack speed on gloves, attack speed on rings, even attack speed on amulet would help hit that. And then you would see a large attack speed increase. And EI is a build where you want to try to hit, well, just enough, right? Because past that, it doesn't do anything. So let's say for EI that you have hit your 22 fuses and you're consistently always hitting them, then any attack speed is completely wasted and not a damage increase at all. The only thing would be if the boss is moving a lot and not getting hit, then obviously that's better. But so now that we figured out why attack speed is so important for EI, what about scaling the build? So there's a lot of different things you can do here. So both damage over time and damage over time multiplier are very good. So let's look at the differences. We have 4.55 million damage right now. We're gonna try different stats, and this is a really good thing for you to do on all your builds, is to get used to this box and playing around with it. It's one of the best things you can do for learning. So let's say we add 30% increased damage over time, right? And you see that our damage goes up to 4.8 million. Now, if you add a dot at the end, that'll invalidate the sentence, and then we can try a new one. 30% increased damage over time multiplier. And you might have to play around with wordings and stuff like that to get it exactly. It might not always be the same. And generally, a good tip is to look at the nodes on the tree or nodes on gear and see exactly how they're worded. And then now you can see that this takes us from 4.5 to 5.3. And now we can try playing around with how much damage over time is the same as damage over time multiplier. So damage over time is 4.8, and then if I put in 6, 7, 8, 9, so 10 damage over time multiplier is the same as 30 increased damage over time. But this number will change a little bit depending on how much you have of each. So it's very, very easy to think that damage over time multiplier is pretty much always the best, but it can be harder to get. So sometimes if you have very little damage over time in your build, I actually had one explosive arrow that had so little damage over time that when I eventually got the 100% increase on the bow, that was such a large damage increase because I had pretty much no other source of increased damage. And if you aren't familiar with damage buckets and Path of Exile, in a vacuum, like let's say you have a character with no damage increase at all, right? You're level 10, you have no damage increase at all, you pick up only skill points on the tree that give stats, and then you see the difference between if I take 50% increased damage or 50% damage over time multiplier will be exactly the same, but it has nothing else to multiply off. So all the more multipliers are so good because they multiply off each other, but they do also need that increased damage to multiply off as well, because increased damage are still part of the multipliers, but they're all adding together. So a quick example is if I have 20% increase here, 20% increase there, and another 20% increase somewhere else, that's 60% increased that's getting multiplied by the more multipliers. So they are still important, and generally they're easier to invest in. You can get 100% increased elemental damage with attack skills, and this is the same as increased damage over time pretty much. You can see on the bow, you can only get like 20, 30 damage over time multiplier. So yeah, if it's like the same amount, then damage over time multiplier is always better, but generally easier to get higher numbers with the other one. Is our hit portion is actually very big, and I really like this. It feels really good in my opinion, because it's really good for clear, and it's really good for whenever you meet those like ignite immune enemies, etc. So that's why things like the elemental damage of the text is doubly good, because it is increasing your dot, but it is also increasing like your initial hit. So we can look a little bit at the difference here now. So if we put it in here now, you can see that our hit is going up from 1 million to 1.2, and our dot is going from 4.8 to 5.7. So this is increasing both, which is obviously quite nice for clearing. Other than that, some tips that are really good is if you can get covered in ash, which you can dispatch get from charms, and you can also get it from a polaric devastation, I believe it's called. So this, if it's in the left ring slot, it's guaranteed to cover in ash when you ignite them. So this is pretty much always there. Obviously getting it on a charm is really nice as well, but we can take it covered in ash and see how much damage that is. And it takes us so total DPS is 4.5 to 5.1 million. And this is also an important thing. Where do you look for damage? Do you look at combined total damage? Do you look at the hit damage? What do you look for? So what's important to look at here is the total DPS, right? Because this is both including your hit damage and your ignite, and this is the damage you're doing per second. Now, here's a fun one for explosive arrow, 100% increased duration of ailments. Holy fuck, it is doubling our damage, because that's what a lot of people can think if they're looking at combined total damage. And the reason for that is this is just, if I did one 22 fuse explosive arrow and never attacked again, it'll last quite a while now, and it'll actually do 27 million damage, but you're not stopping to attack. Now, another thing, I want to talk about some generic things that can be really good as well. Like, a lot of people, especially new players, will ask, why do we use skitterbots in a build, and how does it help us? Well, so this is because you can see that they have chilling skitterbots aura chills enemies near it, and shocking skitterbots aura shocks enemies near it. And this is really good for two reasons. The chill will make them slower. It'll also enable things like hypothermia for pretty much any build as a support gem. Now, obviously that's only while the skitterbots are near them, but in a pinch, if you have an extra green spot and you don't know what to use, but you are using skitterbots, this frees up a new gem that you can use as a support gem, because now the enemies are chilled most of the time, especially single targets. If there's no enemies on screen except on boss, the skitterbots are going to be chilling next to that boss. And next up we have shocked, which is a it's a multiplier on the enemy that they take more damage. Now, this is actually takes increased damage, which you might think like it's not that good. And you might also see another source of this is the Inquisitors. Is it this one? Our penitence is nearby enemies take 16% increased elemental damage. Now, I have three different stats here, and let's remove the duration. So here I have 16% more damage. This is obviously super powerful and will literally multiply any damage, right? And it'll be pretty much undiluted. So that takes us from 5.2 million basically to 6 million. So very, very strong. And then let's look at 60% increased damage. Well, that's not very strong, right? It takes us from 5.2 to 5.34. So it's like 160,000 damage. And then nearby enemies take 16% increased damage. That's somewhere halfway in between. And that's because we have other sources of enemies taking increased damage. Like we do have the skitterbots, shocking, etc. So you can see that it is quite a lot more than increased, but not as much as just a pure undiluted more. So very, very strong still, and it does take us from 5.2 to like 5.7. So pretty much halfway of an actual more. So kind of interesting to play around with them there, and I don't know, hopefully this helps someone and explains how PoE works a little bit, but things like that are very strong. And that means that there's an aura called Aspect of the Spider, which you can get through Bestiary, and it's a, I think it's a 15% aura. It's quite little restoration. It might be 25. Now let's like look at a little other build real quick, and obviously I wasn't planning on doing that much on burning and ignite, but maybe we'll just make more videos on this depending on how you guys like it. Now let's look at a bit of a different build. This is going to be lightning conduit with elemental overload, and we can look at how to scale elemental damage, and it'll be a little bit different than the last one. So we'll see what else we can cover. Like, let me know in the comments down below if any build you particularly care about. One thing to note, I want to say this is just like generic for any build. If you're ever near here by spiritual aid, this can be really, really good your first 2 days. A lot of people don't know how this node works, so let's do the long pathing over here. And you see like all those nodes, like they didn't affect my damage at all. But now if I take spiritual aid, this node alone is like magically upping my damage a lot. And what it does is that increase and reductions in minion damage also affect you. And what this does is minion damage becomes exactly the same as increased damage. And this is really good for two reasons. Some builds, like say Herald builds or builds that want to scale explosions, might not have a way to scale that explosion, or you don't have a good way to get very generic damage. So if we go to calcs now and we look at, let's say, 100% increased damage, you can see that puts it up to 665. We do 100% increased minion damage. You see that puts it up exactly the same. So it is literally the same. Very cool for builds that are scaling explosions, or if you are struggling with getting a weapon, like maybe you can't use spell damage in your build. Maybe you need elemental damage, you need fire damage, you need lightning damage, etc. Well, actually, it's mostly elemental and fire that would have that, because burn doesn't scale from spell damage, it doesn't scale from lightning generally, etc. But we do have fear essences, and fear essences are really good because they are basically the same as telling your weapon, and it'll ignore it and just go on any weapon, and just give you generic increased damage on any weapon. So it's very, very strong. So very often when anyone is pathing over on the left side, you might see them early on taking spiritual aid. Maybe they have a bunch of fear essences, maybe they run out of woe essences and they are a spell build, and that can be really useful. Now, other than that, we want to like try to figure out like what's going to be better for us. Is it going to be cast speed? Is it going to be crit? Well, we're not a crit build, so we can't use that at all. And you might even think about pivoting into crit later, and that can actually be really good on a lot of builds. So you basically untake elemental overload, and you have to try to figure out how much investment do I need to be able to get higher than this, because that's actually quite doable on a lot of builds, right? You see that it doesn't really give you that much. It takes you from 4.1 to 5.5. And right now we only have a 7 crit chance. So it might even be as little as, let's see, if we remove added lightning, we go down to 3.4, we put in increased critical strikes, puts us up to 20 crit. You can see that doesn't really like do a lot of damage, but you can try playing around with it and see how much of an investment do I need to get. Normally you need to get at least above 50% crit chance, and then you're gonna need maybe 200, 300, 400 crit multi. But later on you'll see that builds that get to like 7, 8, or 900 crit multi are now significally above the elemental overload. Elemental overload is particularly good for like things like archmage and stuff that aren't scaling crit generally. But EO, very, very big early. We're gonna focus on that. We'll maybe cover a crit build next. But here we're gonna see like, well, what do we want? Do we want more cast speed, or do we want more increased damage? So let's first try 10% increased cast speed, and that takes us from 5.5 to 5.7 damage. And then we can see how does that compare to increased lightning damage or increased damage, because they're virtually the same for this build. So let's do 20% increased lightning damage. So you can see that 20% increased lightning damage is slightly worse than 10% increased cast speed. So we need roughly, let's see, so we need to go up to, what was it? We need to go up to 577. So we're gonna try to see how much lightning we need for that. So we need 32 lightning damage right now to be worth the same as 10 cast speed. However, there are they're not exactly one-to-one still. So even if I do have the choice between 32 lightning or 10% cast speed, there are things to consider here. Do I have mana issues, right? Because if I'm barely scraping by on mana, even if cast speed is slightly better, if it at any point causes me not to be able to cast, then it's not more damage, right? You're just running out of mana, and that's bad. But if I have no mana issues, then it's a really, really good thing. Then cast speed is better than lightning damage because you're stuck in animation for less and you can move around more, and it just feels so much better to play when your build is like bleep, 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 as opposed to bleep, bleep. So those are things to really, really keep in mind there between increased cast speed and lightning damage. This is a build that is already shocking. It's already very likely max shocking, and we're probably even on this build trying to get a lot of things like increased effect of ailments, increased effect of non-damaging ailments specifically. So we can see that we actually crafted that on the boots here. And this is so important because on normal monsters, like a white mob that you're killing them up, you're probably always going to hit that for the most amount of effect, and you're going to shred that. However, if you're actually hitting a boss, what if you're only getting a 15% shock? Then you're losing out on up to like 40% damage. So you want to get as much increased effect of non-damaging elements. You can see that we end up taking that on like pretty much anywhere you can. You can get it on Amulet as well, on a Simplex, but yeah, very, very good, and worth trying to get where you can. And there's a lot of this on the tree as well. And there will be like some experimentation there for figuring out how big your shock is, and here you can see we're getting max effect of shock as well. Now, another thing that might be huge, and this is huge for annoyance and stuff, some builds can use 2 curses. Like a poison build can use temporal chains and despair. A lot of builds can use, elemental weakness and conduit for this build. So if your build can use 2 curses, chances are that is pretty huge. So we can see that our build is getting 1,000,000 damage from Whispers of Doom, and you might also have a mark that you can use for your build, like Assassin's Mark is huge, or the Sniper's Mark is huge for projectile builds, and you can also usually get both curses applied within Arcanist span, so that you're only focusing on casting it once, like say once every 8 seconds or something, and that'll keep cursing for you. Like you won't actually have to worry about, okay, conduit, elemental weakness, now deal damage, because that'll lower your damage quite a lot. So I figured I would start like making these as a series and like taking requests from you guys and having just different tips and tricks every time. And there's so many things we can talk about in Path of Exile. This could be like 8 hours of videos. So it's up to you guys. Let me know. I'll do the top 3 most liked things in the comments of this video. Will be the next video, depending on how long it'll be. So somewhere between 2 and 4. Anyway, write things, like them, and we'll have that for the next video. Hopefully you guys enjoy it and it helps teach you something. Feel free to let me know as well in the comments. Like, ooh, I didn't know that was helpful. Just so I know and remember in the future what actually helps you guys. So thanks for watching. Sub if you like the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.
Somehow. I saw that comment, Nick. At least his brain is doing more on stream than XQC. You all probably didn't hear it unless I was talking in my sleep, besides snoring, but my God, I was in the middle of a sentence. I was in the middle of a sentence. I was literally in the middle of a sentence. And I looked over at my wife's face, and she was concerned for me. And I looked at her and said, honey, what was wrong? And she said, you won't wake up. Huh? And I snapped back to reality. And here you are. You all are there. And somehow, the entire time, my tooth didn't hurt. Interesting. I'll be right back. It feels like it's on the winter setting, not the summer setting. I guess that'll have to do. Ouch. I just realized how heavy I'm sweating on my neck. Excuse me. While I turn on the air in here. Oh, fuck. That's what I get for making kissy face with her for multiple hours in the car. Anyways. I've made a horrible mistake. That mistake is I went on to Reddit and I actually used it for its intended purpose. Basically, this league, one of the things that people have been doing, incorrectly, might I add you, I'm wondering why that camera looked crooked, is that they keep posting videos about the King of the Mist, league mechanic, and all of the information that they kept posting about that league mechanic is wrong. One of the other reasons my neck is probably overheating is probably because I need to wear a different shirt. Hold on. Oh, Lord. I'll probably cool down soon, but I also need to change everything. That's making me too hot. This is why you all have to look at me. Effectively, all the information about the league mechanic is wrong, bad, dog shit, garbage. It needs to be properly reworked. One of the things I need to do this league is actually put out content about the King of the Mists. Because I think the league mechanic is one of the most underrepresented and underutilized and discussed contexts and concepts in general. If for no other reason, to get an uptick to the stream. Calm the fuck out for I don't even know how long. No one in chat's actually said for how long I was unconscious. And now my face feels dirty. But that's probably going to be today's best opera goal. I need to make sure I write down things. I think the worst part with being unconscious feels like there's pimples on my face. Probably from my skin being not properly moisturized and dirt and whatever. Is that I remember clearly pressing the start streaming button. Clearly I was very, very comfortable the way that I was. And I imagined that actually I was still in the car with her. What a weird feeling to have. Surely Carl will not pass out again by not having Vaporwave and Glitch Step and Breakcore playing, so that his brain is tricked into believing that he's so comfortable and is either lying in bed or somehow forgets where he is, that he just forgets what he's fucking doing. Surely he will not do that again. But anyways. But Irm went on to Reddit, and I made a quick and dirty breakdown, as well as my first coverage of the fight, which I will actually play for you right now. Days, and I'm like, okay, it is the Krim Eve. I have been searching for literally the past few days, and I'm like super fucking annoyed with everything that I know, and have been trying to research and learn about the stupid fucking boss fight, right? I'm gonna do it raw, but first, a while walks with the things. Everything people have been speculating and claiming about the Wisps is wrong, about the setup the Wisps is wrong, is generally just fucking stupid, right? Alright. When you load into the Wildwood, excuse me, your spawn point is random. The wood is not fixed. It's not like you're traveling across the same nodes, but you're entering in from different access points. Your map is different every single map. You can only be found in tier 14 plus, 14, 15, and 16. This is a layer of the Hydra, so he can also... I wonder, if I click on this and hold it, does it fast forward? Also be found in the special maps. The ones that are considered off Atlas. No, it doesn't. Crazy. If they count as a map that has a tier that's above 14. Get out of the way. That's number one. Number two, the bullshit that people are claiming about him is wrong, and I can demonstrate thusly. Also, a little bit of a word of the Wildwood. Don't walk in cardinal directions. Do diagonals. If you have a zone that is walled, you walk in the direction of the zone until you can find an encounter. The way that he spawns, as well as almost all events, in diagonals. As you can clearly see, I went to bottom left, and I walked, and I hit Primal Huntress' node. And just off a random chance, go over here, make sure I'm not shit. Go ahead and Hierophant, please, and thank you. I love it, I love it, I love it. Love mana reservation, I love attack reach.
Hunt well.
I then walked further around down, and I locked into one. When I loaded in and started the recording, you saw that the area was surrounded in blue wisps. And over in this section, there's a light wisp. Neversink, on his personal website Twitter, put down a link saying, the King of the Mists avoids wisp lights. That is untrue. He does not avoid humors, I'm gonna call them, as I call them more. He does not avoid humor spawns. He does not avoid light wisp spawns. If you doubt what I'm saying, right there, it does not avoid it. He can spawn nearby it. You just have to look. You just have to be lucky. It's more about finding the encounters than it is about finding him. I'll do more research and testing on this. I'll probably drop a video this league if I can get a full breakdown of it with examples and demonstrations. But you need to go diagonals, and you need to do your best to cover as much distance as possible. Light wisps are your friend. If you go in a different direction, you end up fighting light wisps, and you start hitting walls and connectors, just turn right back around, use a portal to open up to be a marker and a guide, because this place has no map. It basically functions just like if you got light reduction in the Sanctum. Mark your position, where you started from, and memorize the directions you went, and backtrack. Don't try to search around in the area to try and hope that you get the encounter. Sometimes you might get lucky, and you might want to do that, especially considering this place is super great for Life Force, and it's also super great for Beyond, but also it's also super great for Ritual. Every single time you get his starter fight, the ultimate goal, in order for you to find him, you must be active on War of the Wildwood. They have to task you in order for you to get your fourth and last final point. Do your best to try and navigate as best as you can, and attempt to remember that when it comes to the Wisps basically cover a marker zone in an arc. Usually if you find an encounter with either the Warden
the Oathbreaker or with the Primalist, it'll always have an arc, like an eyebrow, of wisps surrounding any of the points around it in a circle. And it can lead into darkness as well. Use that as a marker point to define the zone itself. And this is true for all vistas. Every vista has this. The only vista that does not have this is the Nameless Seer. The Nameless Seer must be encountered while you still have light wisps. You cannot interact with them if your light wisps dissipate. You need trades for all of your wisps and trade for a unique item. It's very, very rare you're going to see him. If you do find him, good. If you find the encounter, just like in any other situation, I'm pretty sure you get a portal to go in, but if you die, you're fucked. So you'll have to look again. So don't fuck up. Play well. Remember to follow the wisps in phase 2. Stay away from slams. You should be golden. Mostly. Mostly.
I am beginning to understand.
So, if I do more mechanics of that, and I start fixing and informing people about the shit that they're getting wrong, that they've just decided to say without actually testing themselves uncritically, I think that'd be a small miniature goal for me to work on with the league. I sound super annoyed in that video, and probably because I probably was. But that's the ultimate mistake I made. I went on to Reddit and I posted. I think I dropped the link for it, and people started giving me upvotes by a bunch of the fucking Forbidden Trove players. I think downvoted it. I look at it. Yeah. Upvote rate has 1 share. Community karma, which doesn't fucking matter. 3.8k views, but no comments. So it might as well feel like nothing was done about it, nothing was said about it, and it made no impression. Despite this being probably the most important information, period. So many of these fucking posts are goddamn garbage. Oh my god. Mirror tier this, mirror tier that. Best in slot this. Can't craft on bad bases that. Quite literally the most garbage opinions that they could ever have. Anyways. That the people? I think it is. I was wrong, it was not them. Somebody probably randomly getting into their car and stumbling out from the festivities in their homes across the street. Alright. I have things, I have stuff. But what do I actually have in terms of things that I need to immediately do? That is for a different build. This is now priority. I got Throat Stabber. And once I do more indies, 1 chaos versus 3 chaos versus 9.1 chaos. 5 chaos here. 6 chaos here. 7 chaos here. 6, 11, 7, 7, 9, 5, 12, 5, 12, 18, 17, and 12 across those. 4, 5, 9, 13. 13 for Scorn, really. One through 10. Half, actually. Half 1, 5. Really. Wiring versus 1 even at that tier. One 2.69 and 1 through 12. There are no connections. 1.9. I want to flip things. I'll have to work really hard to flip them. Okay. Turn the pulses to 14. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 6, 17 home perfects. I actually need mine. 1, 3, 5, 2. Elimination cards are looking scuffed because I tried to flip some cards in terms of my divines. My fortunates were at 8. I tried to flip 2 cards to flip them to 4. I ended up smashing both, so now I'm at half a stack. Slowly building back up. Man, I hit the fucking essence. Surely he will hit the fragment I need. Actually, he actually did. Wow, crazy. Some situation here. And this time I have to make sure I don't fail the Shaper because I was not... Well, actually, no, I was close, and I could have been able to get it. Then I would have been 2 points closer. But certainly, I will not fail it and hit the fragment that I need. Wow, that is really fucking lucky. Since this one is witnessed, I don't have to worry about that, but this one is not witnessed. But rather than witnessing that one, I'm going to not witness it. Because I don't want to lose again. Because fuck me and running. Maven Ritz or 2 Divine, I think. That is correct. Maven Rit is 1.9, which is technically 2. Orbs Conflict 72, Elevated 80, Impossible Escape 20, Doppler's Guise 50, Echo Forge 30, Arn's Anguish 15, Graven Secret 15, Olasia's Delight 10, Legacy of Fury 15, Breeze Veil 5. I don't want anything, I probably want an Arn's Anguish, to be honest. But I keep mapping the way that I have been. I slowly build up to a Maven's Writ. I sell the Maven's Writ. There goes my Divine increases for now. Until I'm comfortable that I can kill the Maven myself. Hidden is 9. Fear is 10. Formed is 140. I'm almost certain I can run this. Steal my shit. I'm ailment immune now, so I think this is fine. I just need Forge of the Phoenix. Alright, Carl, this time we're gonna make sure we roll it correctly. As he charges on hit, correct. And you're not going to fucking slam it, you jackass. Okay, you're not gonna slam it, and you're not gonna be dumb about it, you're just gonna fucking do it correctly. You're gonna do it right. 14. No one's tried buying these from me. And take them back off the market. And I'll just use them myself. Still have a fuckload of skitterings to actually use that I need to make use of. I also still have alvas. Although these alvas are more for experience than they are for loot drops. Got blood-filled vessels to run. Have tomes. But let's start by selling my shit. While trying to sell my shit. I didn't even get hit for a trade. This right here, so I remember that it's there as the next project. I'm gonna have to essence slam it. I can't just throw it into harvest. Harvest crafting this would do nothing. I believe the way forward with this particular claw project is that I would need to do some massive slamming. Because the gloves are done. At least for that other build. Yeah. But I have to do with this. Because I have to go to Essences, pick up Envies, and slam Envy until I see a physical line. Like that. Then, after getting now they're here. Ouch, my face. I was so confused, chat. It was a random white girl escorted by a black woman. A hefty black woman. I was so confused. I'm like, why is she so far away from the door? Giggled and shit. Anyways, I will need to hit a tier 1 add physical line to go along with this claw. Then I'm pretty sure prefixes cannot be changed in this scenario. Look at the handy dandy good. Correct. Lock prefixes or prefixes cannot be changed. Use veiled. Craft increased damage. Or per endurance, frenzy or power charge, prevent it from being unveiled in step 8. Unveil the following mods. Or strength and intelligence on weapon, increase crit strike chance. And or dexterity intelligence with increased attack speed, and then put on the modifier I'm missing, which is either crit strike chance or attack speed, which is fairly deterministic. It's just that envies are expensive. Then once I have that claw, I will have the nodes I need. The ones that I really would like to have is crit strike chance, because I don't need dexterity in my build. I would be super epic rare giga fucked if I had that line. And then when I don't have the poison effect, I'd probably drop Vile Toxin and start actually using either repeating projectile or chain, since I've leveled my chains on the side now. So I certainly don't have the money for Awaken Chain yet. So I'd end up in this situation. On this particular build, I hit this line. Suffixes cannot be changed in the craft. Or prefixes cannot be changed in the craft. It was veiled. Lock it out. Or rather, yeah, lock it out. Then block it out. Then on the veileds, that removes 3 lines, which basically has me in a situation where I basically would pray. I think. I don't think it's too bad, but I think I do have to pray, actually. Strength Intelligence, increased crit chance. That's one hit. Physical time into a multiplier, cast speed, trigger socket. This would piss me off, because that's basically all 3 dead lines. This would have to be recrafted and locked out again. That's automatically more divine. Trigger Blood Rage when you kill an enemy with increased attack speed. Automatically angry. Another dead line. The 1 hit out of 3. Another dead line. Dexterity Intelligence. Because the sad part about this is that not hitting the Strength Intelligence line basically means I get the intelligence that I need in my gift. And sure, I can drop intelligence somewhere, but I still would need to have strength. That's okay. This would also be a sufficient line for us. It's 4 hits. Deadline. Deadline. Live line. Actually, no, not a live line. That's accuracy rating, which is not good for my weapon. That's the correct line. Would like to hit this multiple times to see how common it is. Because more than likely, I'm going to need multiple divines, because this is not deterministic. It's not deterministic at all. There's so many fucking veils. Another opportunity. Another one. Deadline. Deadline. Correct line. Deadline. 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 Deadlines. 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 So you can just get fucked, basically. That's what this is. If you see it, you're happy and you take whichever one you get, I guess. That's why it's take one or the other instead of recrafting. There are too many lines in here that it clouds the pool. So if you don't end up seeing Strength Intelligence crit chance or Dexterity Intelligence attack speed, you are basically upset. And then suffixes, you craft whichever one you're missing. In this situation, perfected roll would be Strength Intelligence with critical strike chance, and then you come down and just basically pick up the attack speed automatically. I can find the attack speed. I thought it was towards the top. Am I blind? Am I blind? Ah, it's right here. It was being blocked out and hidden from my eyes by the fucking blood rage lines. pretty low, pretty low, pretty low, low, low. I want to see, there he is. So it'd go to 444, 111 above the devil's number. And that would be a perfected throat stabber for me. The only thing that could be made better is that the physical damage line be higher. The actual prefix modifier, it's fractured. But this would be quite literally the best I could get. That prefix on the tier 1 has the lowest rolled number on it, but that's fine. This is not fully fill my suffixes, so I'd still have the chance to hit another suffix. So after that, I would just, I guess, slam. Guys, there's nothing you can do to this. That would be sucky. Technically, that'd be okay, because it would add on poison effect. Because that'd basically make it just like the wasp nest. Because the wasp nest has poison. Stun duration would be okay-ish. Life gain per kill is dead. Accuracy rating would be kind of cracked. Because it basically means I would have every single stat that I would need from my weapon. That would fill in whatever I'm missing from my equipment. And I would no longer need to worry about an additional accuracy line on the final slot of upgrade for the ring, because it would be supplied on the weapon. I don't know what this would be as a price check on the market, but I'm pretty sure this would be maybe 100 divine. It'll just be a matter of buying the base and actually doing it to it, because realistically, actually doing this craft is very simple. Everything up until slamming that Veiled Orb is very easy. It's the actual reroll if it locks that's the problem. So that would be the final, well, no, not final, close to final, but you don't know the worst part about conking the fuck out because of exhaustion is, chat? I forgot I put food in the oven, but it's okay. It's actually cooked to perfection right now, and now it will cool instead of me stupidly leaving it in the oven, like leaving it in the oven, and then the oven basically tinging and burning it all the way through. But looking at the finality, even on a tier 2 craft, there's a 3% chance that I actually hit anything I need from the suffixes. So the only thing I could actually do with this item, once I hit all the crafts on it, is basically pray, hit something decent inside of the suffix bowl. If I wanted to Omega Greed, I would have to buy the copies that are on the market and basically turn them into versions of this. And every single time I don't hit accuracy rating, I'd sell the item. That's if I wanted to be greedy. But that's ideally what I'd have to do. I might actually just go offline and then take a nap and then come back to make sure I don't fall asleep again. Because the first thing I need to do is just basically keep farming until I have more divines. Then I can go from there. Because by the looks of it, the only other upgrade I can make, which is my last charm slot, right now, I have socketed in another withered. Because suppression withered charms are not now crazily fucking expensive like all the fucking charms that are currently on the market are. For some reason, Golden Strike ones overnight became instantly 100 divine each. But Critical Strikes have Golden Strike are still in the feasible range of 2.3. Highest caps out at 18 for 15% chance of express. And honestly, it's a fucking miracle. Regardless of whether or not I want to do that upgrade, which I do, I want Crawling Strike in my build. I effectively have to get there to get it. I think after I finish eating this, I will take my nap. So I'll come back and do that. I'll probably see you guys in like 4 to 5 hours, and then I will stream again for another like 16.